following statements are true. We all know exactly who we are. We all understand ourselves better than anyone else. We all know exactly what we're capable of. We all understand why we make the decisions that we do. But what if I told you that all of the previous statements were false? Well, then I'd simply be contradicting myself the same way we do every day. It's true that I am certain of my own capability, but my certainty doesn't make that objectively true. What you believe and what you know are not mutually exclusive, and this applies greatly into who we are as people. But who are you, really? We're obsessed with comparing ourselves to others as we tend to learn what we are not in comparison to everyone else. And what we tend to do is create groups for people who possess certain ideals and characteristics. Hence, the blanket statements that assign characteristics to people based on the month that they're born in. But what if we took this idea to the next level? I'm sure we can agree that not every Capricorn is emotionless and hardworking, nor is every Gemini superficial and/or two-faced. Truth is, we need a better system based around who we are as people, rather than when we're born, as we have control over one and not the other. And thankfully, such a system exists. The 16 Personalities Type Test, or the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, is a test designed to determine how one interacts with the world around them. More specifically, how they think, process information, and how they interact with others. The test is focused around 4 groups, starting with Sentinels, individuals that are confident in who they are, consistently seeking order, security, and stability. Fact-based individuals. Sentinels thrive in environments where there's clear guidelines and rules. These principles make them excellent mentors and/or educators, as they combine education with structure. Analysts. Individuals that are driven by rational thought. They live to be able to think freely, often driven by curiosity, and are always looking to improve and problem solve. Like Sentinels, they are fact-based and they're perfectionists wanting to perfect everything they're involved in. Diplomats. Individuals with a natural passion to connect and bond with others. Their natural insight makes them very influential, often pushing the envelope with a great deal of optimism. These individuals often push their friends and family to do better while also pushing the boundaries on comfort zones. And finally, explorers. Individuals with an uncanny ability to adapt. Nothing keeps their attention for too long, as they love to entertain many things over shorter periods of time. Like diplomats, explorers often connect with a wide variety of individuals due to their need to always try new things. Now, on the surface, each of these 4 groups may seem like they could apply to anyone. In fact, you might even feel like more than one group applies to you. Well, this is where the personality types come into play. Each group is made up of 4 different personality types, and each personality type is based on how you instinctively interact with the world. More specifically, your cognitive decision making. So while you may be an analyst, it's possible to have traits found in diplomats or sentinels. However, these traits are not part of your core personality and may only be displayed in certain situations and/or around certain people. Each personality type is broken down into what's called letter pairs. These letter pairs vary depending on your test answers, and they determine your personality type and what group you belong to. Starting with letters E and I, extroversion versus introversion. These 2 letter pairs are about how we engage socially, more specifically, how we react to our environment. Individuals that lean towards extroversion tend to thrive in situations where their environment and/or people can directly stimulate them, thus allowing them to feed off of the interactions. They prefer to directly engage with others, often taking the lead and pushing boundaries. Extroverts are more willing to take risks and can sometimes take action to seek thrills, but they often motivate and challenge everyone around them. Individuals that lean towards introversion may find comfort in environments that they can control, as they find comfort in moving through life at a slow and steady pace, often preferring time spent alone or in a small, low-profile setting. Introverts have a tendency to create their own versions of peace outside of the status quo, often opting to stay within their comfort zones as opposed to taking risks or seeking thrills. Moving on with letters N and S, intuition versus sensing. These letter pairs are about how we respond to information once it's been gathered and processed. Those who favor intuition tend to be dreamers. Dreamers in the sense that they often lean toward imagination and look beyond what's directly in front of them. Intuitive individuals often look deeper than what's on the surface, and this can be great as they're a great source of fresh perspectives and out-of-the-box problem solving. But this can also affect them negatively as they can easily become lost in their own thoughts and feelings. Individuals with a sensing mindset are masters of the present. They tend to focus on what's directly in front of them and take influence from proven methods that will result in solving the issue placed before them. They often move quickly, following strict principles. However, sensing individuals are not very flexible, resulting in situations where failure could have been avoided by looking further than what's been placed before them. Continuing on with letters T and F, thinking versus feeling. These letter pairs are about how we make decisions and whether or not these decisions are based on rational thought or emotion. Those with the thinking trait rely on rational thought to make their decisions. When approached with an issue, they tend to look at the situation objectively, with a tendency to evaluate all sides to make the most informed decision. They tend to make decisions based on objective fairness, effectiveness, and realism. Those with the thinking trait can have trouble with emotion, as emotion doesn't always follow an objective path, and this can cause them to seem disconnected from their own emotions or the emotions of others. Individuals with a feeling trait tend to make decisions based on how they and/or others feel. These individuals are very emotionally aware and often problem solve in a way that caters to the feelings of others. Those with the feeling trait may be more willing to make sacrifices where logic is needed because problem solving for them may only begin when everyone is mentally healthy. These individuals can sometimes create bigger problems when sacrificing logic, as emotion can cloud their judgment, and they may sometimes feel uncomfortable when logic is the only possible way to a solution. And finally, we have J and P, perceiving versus judging. These letter pairs are about how we structure our daily lives and how willing we are to follow established status quo. Individuals with the judgment trait tend to stick to schedules, outlines, agendas, plans, etc. When presented with new tasks, they prefer to create plans that detail how they're going to complete the task from start to finish. Those with this trait need some form of structure in their daily lives, and they're not always open to deviations in already established plans. While this trait makes them very reliable in terms of completing tasks, they're often not flexible in their methods, sometimes coming across as stubborn and/or hard to work with. Individuals with the perceiving trait prefer to react to their environments rather than controlling them. They are masters at going with the flow. Because of this, they tend to create a lot of new opportunity, but due to the many decisions laid before them, they can have trouble making decisions. Since these individuals move more freely than those with the judgment trait, they are much more open to change and typically don't stick to plans or status quo. These letter pairs combined in different orientations make up the 16 different personality types. It's important to remember that we all experience each letter pair. However, one letter pair is always more dominant than another. For example, one may score a 55% in introversion, leaving 45% to extroversion. This means that their letter pair in that category would be an I, as it's the dominant trait. While this individual may instinctively be an introvert, they would have some extroverted tendencies that allow them to blend into and enjoy environments that extroverts primarily thrive in. This is where that 45% extroversion comes into play. Furthermore, an individual with 85% introversion and 15% extroversion can still enjoy environments that extroverts thrive in, but to a much lesser degree, often opting to stay within their comfort zone much more often than the introvert with 45% extroversion. This simply means that while you may be one personality type, you can express the traits of others depending on the environment and situation. ISTJ, also known as the logistician personality type, belonging to the Sentinel group. Such an individual would only concern themselves in matters that are the most practical, focusing on realistic and logical thinking. Such an individual takes pride in setting standards, upholding rules, and enforcing order, creating stability. Such an individual is independent, dedicated, fact-minded, and reliable. Such an individual is me. I am a logistician, and all of the above is true and more. And the most interesting fact is that I wasn't always a logistician. The beauty of this test is that it can be taken at any time, and I've taken this test every year since age 20. I am now 29. Over the last decade, my experiences have helped me develop into the person that I am today, and I say with confidence that I am not the same person that I was at age 20. It wasn't until earlier this year that a different personality type was assigned to me, and it makes total sense. In the past, I've always been ESTJ, or the executive personality type, still a sentinel. ESTJs are strikingly similar to ISTJs, except in what they prioritize. In the past, I expressed more traits of extroversion, alongside the same level of sensing, thinking, and judgment traits, focusing on nothing but putting myself in front of as many different people as I could, sharing my passions, beliefs, and opinions with anyone that would listen. These days, I find that my preferences have changed due to circumstances in my life, causing shifts in my focus and priorities, thus creating new types of goals that don't require me to network with others. I also enjoyed having my friends take the test as it gave me the chance to look deeper into the roles they played in my life. It's also given me insight on how I can better support them in their time of need. I consider myself lucky to have friends in each of the four groups, representing different parts of my personality and giving me the balance that I need. This is a test that grows as you do, and it's a great source of introspection as it helps me self-reflect and challenge my own beliefs surrounding my identity. I can't and won't say that I'm a better person for having this additional insight, as this information isn't based on any real science, so anything I share would be anecdotal at best. But I do feel that this test is a great resource, and at the very least, it can help people take a deeper look into themselves, which would give them the opportunity to be better than who they were prior. If you're interested in taking the test, I would recommend taking the test on 16personalities.com. This site offers a vast amount of information on every personality type, free of charge, with add-ons available for purchase, although I've never felt like purchasing any of the add-ons were necessary. The test takes about 5 to 10 minutes to complete and is made up of a mixture of questions surrounding your preferences in certain situations, prompting you to select a range of choices from strongly disagree, neutral, to strongly agree. I also want to mention that I take this test every 6 months or so, as I feel that it's an appropriate amount of time for life events to occur, new habits to be established, relationships to change, and shifts in goals and motivations. When taking this test, always answer the questions as if you have to make a choice in that very moment. Answering based on decisions you've made in the past may cause you to get a result untrue to who you are in the present day. Hopefully, this test can add value to your life as it did to mine. I have more clarity on my weaknesses, I better understand the roles those close to me play in my life, and I'm more motivated to continue to push myself to do better. So, when it comes to who I am, I now say that I know who I am to a certain degree, because I'm always changing, growing, experiencing, and navigating through life.